Assalamu alaikum, welcome and karibuni to Aroma of Zanzibar's kitchen. Today I am taking you to India to have this beautiful, delicious breakfast called Channa Batura, but of course you can have it any time of the day. So I'm going to start by making homemade buttermilk. I've got half a cup of milk and I'm just going to squeeze in some lime. You can do lemon or vinegar, and I'm going to keep it aside. Now for the dough, I'm using 1 cup of all-purpose flour, 1/4 cup of suji, which is known as farina or rava, and a teaspoon of sugar, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda. So we're just going to mix it well to combine, and then I'm going to add a tablespoon of oil. Any cooking oil, vegetable oil would do. Now this is to add the fat, which is really necessary in this dough. Now, the original authentic baturas are made with yeast, but of course later on they've started with the baking soda. And also most of the recipes, I have tried one recipe that calls for yogurt, thick yogurt. You would need about 3 to 4 tablespoons, but I did not have thick yogurt, so I decided to make buttermilk. Now, since we are not using yeast, we still want to have the flavors, the fermented flavors. So we are going to keep this dough for about 3 to 4 hours to develop those flavors. So the baking soda and the buttermilk or yogurt that you're going to use is going to react and bring those flavors. So if you're going to use yogurt, you'll use yogurt 3 to 4 tablespoons, and you'll add water and keep kneading your dough until you get to the right consistency. Okay, so I'm just gonna mix, as you can see, but I did not use all the buttermilk, and I kneaded the dough for about 6 to 7 minutes, as you can see, but you may use all, it depends, right? And then another tablespoon of oil, so totally I have used 2 tablespoons of oil. This is to keep the dough nice and moist, and you don't have to keep it in this shape. I just like it because it's easy for me to divide. And then I've got a warm towel that I'm going to cover this to keep that moisture. And then we are going to keep this for about 3 to 4 hours. Now we are going to cook the channa. Now for the channa, you can use dry channa, but you make sure that you soak them and cook them, boil them. But I'm using canned. I've used 2 cans, which is about 900 grams. And in my pot over here, I've used about 5 tablespoons of oil, heating it up on high. And I've got all my whole spices, which I will mention them in the description box below. So I'm gonna fry these on high heat for about a minute or so until they release the aromas. And I reduce the heat, and I added 1 diced onion. I'm using red onion. You can use white or yellow, it doesn't matter. Then we, of course, reduce the heat as you put the onions, and then we're gonna cook them for till they get to this point, not so brown. Then I added my spices, which is red chili powder, cumin powder, and coriander powder, a teaspoon of each, but you can always reduce or increase to your liking. Okay, so we're gonna saute the spices until they release the air. You don't want to have raw spices. And then I added the tomatoes. These are 3 medium-sized Roma tomatoes that I have diced, and then we're just gonna saute while we mash them down for about a minute or so. And then I'm gonna add my garbanzo beans, and I've left a little bit which I'm gonna mash them. All right, so chickpeas, garbanzo beans, channa, it's all the same. Okay, so I'm going to mash these. You can use a fork or you can use your fingers, and this is going to help the sauce to become extra thick. And there was no specific measurement. I just took, whatever I felt that would be enough. All right, and then I just added a little bit of water. And we're just going to add this to our beans, all right? And just going to mix it well. Just stir a little bit. There's a lot of stirring here in this recipe. I don't know why, or maybe I'm just extra. And then I add a little more water, and I'm just going to let this simmer. And then, of course, add some salt. You want to taste and see if you need to add some salt. Sometimes I forget to show it, but please do. And now this is another dimension of flavors. You don't have to do this. It's totally optional, but it's fantastic. So I've got 2 tablespoons of yogurt. That's why I didn't have yogurt for my flour, for my dough. And the same spices that I have added in the beginning, cumin, coriander, and red chili powder. And of course I added some cilantro and red chili flakes if you want it more spicy, or if you have green chilies, that's fine. And I covered it and let it simmer for about 5 minutes and reduce the heat totally low before you add the yogurt, because you don't want it to split, all right? But if it does, just stir it quickly like I was doing, and my camera stand fell off. And I'm sorry, my kitchen got all messed up, but never mind, that's part of cooking. And then I let it simmer for about 5 minutes, and our sauce is ready, nice and thick, smells amazing. So now I'm going to the baturas. Now for the baturas, see, nice, the dough is nice and it's stretchable. Baturas are usually very big, large, but I'm making them small, like puri size, just because I made very less dough. And the difference between baturas and puris, of course, is the size. And also the puris are usually made with whole wheat flour, which is atta, and the baturas are made with all-purpose flour, with suji or rava or farina, which is the same thing. But if you don't have farina, you don't have to use it. It's okay. It just makes the baturas extra crispy. All right. So now for rolling, you're going to put oil, not flour, so that it doesn't stick, because the flour is going to mess up your oil while you're frying. And you want it to be same level, flat. Even at the edge, try and make it as flat as you could, and don't roll it too thin or too thick, just enough. And make sure that your oil is nice and hot, piping hot like that. So when you drop your batura into the hot oil, and we're going to press it gently to submerge so that it gets that hot oil and it fluffs up like a balloon, just like that. I wish I didn't cook it too long. It doesn't need to be cooked that long, just a minute, so that the color would have been beautiful. But I got a brown color, which is okay. They tasted the same, but it looks better when it's lighter. And you see it's nice and fluffy like a balloon. So sometimes you may not get it for reasons that I don't know. Like this, half was up, half was down, and this is perfect. They're still hot. And this one is just like that, but they taste the same. So anyways, now we are going to serve the channa, which is beautiful and smelled amazing, tasted good and spicy. So I'm going to show you how light our batura is and soft. And thank you so much for watching. Please do visit the description box so you can grab yourself all the ingredients and the measurements. And if you can see, now I assume you're an English fan of my channel, I am shifting you to another channel, which is called Behind the Aromas, but I will be posting the same recipes on this channel as in Aroma of Zanzibar. Thank you so much for watching, and I wish you all a wonderful day. Take care.